Hello, and welcome to South Asia Diary with me, Mariam Wardak. Our cover story today is from Sri Lanka. By now, everyone knows about the financial crisis there. But do you know how this crisis was created? One reason was Sri Lanka's turn to organic agriculture. Overnight, all chemical fertilizers were banned by the government. Agriculture had to be 100% organic, but Sri Lanka's farmers were not ready for this green turn. The results? Complete financial ruin. Tonight, we tell you how Lankan farmers are still reeling from this misconceived plan. Also on the show.
Decades after the war on drugs broke out, Nepal is revisiting the ban on cannabis. A local manufacturer in Karachi has designed a low-cost bionic arm to help Pakistan's specially abled people. Women in Afghanistan say they are being denied driving licenses by the Taliban. Is the extremist regime shifting from nationwide decrees to localized policies? Bangladesh is updating their liquor laws after nearly 100 years.
Agriculture was once the backbone of Sri Lanka's economy. It made up a huge chunk of the GDP, and not to mention employed a quarter of the population. But then came the organic campaign. Farmers were pushed into abandoning chemical fertilizers overnight. The result was disastrous, the effects which are still being felt all over the island.
It's another day in the field for these farmers. The sun beating down, the muddy waters splashing against their legs. Until recently, these farmers were the backbone of Sri Lanka's economy. Agriculture made up 7.4% of the GDP, employed a quarter of the population, and not to mention brought in valuable foreign exchange. Then came Gotabaya Rajapaksa. The new president had a thought. What if Sri Lankan agriculture became 100% organic? No chemical fertilizers, no pesticides, 100% organic. Rajapaksa ran with the plan. Overnight, he banned all chemical fertilizers.
Even experts rejected it. These experts, including professors, advised against full dependency on organic fertilizer. The farmers also clearly expressed their disapproval. But despite the opposition, the government went ahead and imposed strict rules and forced it on us. And in the end, it failed.
Failure is putting it lightly. The organic turn was a monumental disaster. The farmers received no warning, no training on how to use organic fertilizers. They were literally nudged off a cliff. The result? Output fell dramatically.
When we used chemical fertilizer, we were able to get a yield of about 3,000 kilograms per acre. But since we switched to organic farming, we have received only about half that yield, about 1,500 kilograms or less.
All over the island, it's the same story. Total agricultural productivity fell 14.4%. Rice, which is a staple here, fell 13.9%. Even tea, Sri Lanka's flagship export, was hit. On a normal year, Sri Lanka exports tea worth $1.3 billion. Last year, that fell by $425 million. Valuable foreign exchange was lost.
The country is now unstable, and as a result, prices of all goods have skyrocketed. No gas, no milk powder, no rice. Many food items we eat are not available anymore. All prices of all goods have shot up. Living has become impossible for people. Hunger has become very common. So people have now rejected the government.
Most farmers are staring at poverty. They have spent their whole adult life in the fields, producing enough for themselves and selling the excess in the market. Not anymore. Their produce barely covers their own needs. Selling outside is out of the question. By the end of 2021, Gotabaya Rajapaksa realized his mistake. He reversed his ban on chemical fertilizers. He admitted that it was a mistake. By then, it was too late. The organic turn had devastated farmers. Some of them were pushed into hunger and poverty. Around 300 of them have gathered here in Colombo. They have joined the anti-government protests. Maybe the pressure will force the leadership to quit. But for these farmers, the future is uncertain. One rash decision upended their lives. Returning to normalcy will be a long march back. South Asia Bureau, WION, World is One.
The Taliban's assault on women's rights continues in Afghanistan. In the latest, they are targeting women's right to drive. Local accounts from Herat say women are being denied driving licenses. Instead of a nationwide ban, the Taliban is asking local officials to carry out their regressive policies. Undaunted by this threat, some Afghan women continue to drive.
Driving through Taliban country is dangerous. Fatal if you're a woman. Yet that is what Shaima Wafa is doing, confidently driving through the streets of Herat. Watchful eyes follow her car, some in disapproval, some in disbelief. What if the Taliban see her?
I personally told a Talib that it's more comfortable for me to travel in my car rather than sitting beside a taxi driver. And my family also happily allows me to travel in my own car.
Women drivers are rare but not unheard of in Afghanistan, especially here in Herat. This northwestern city is often considered liberal by Afghan standards. Shaima Wafa is hoping that it continues. For her, driving is all about self-reliance.
If we don't have a man or a driver home at midnight, I need to be able to take my family to a doctor in my car without waiting for my brother or husband to come home.
What does the Taliban make of this? Officially, they are silent. And that's how Taliban 2.0 works. No nationwide blanket decrees or bans. Instead, local officials are asked to implement regressive orders. On women drivers, it is no different.
I must say that these things regarding women that are publicized are all rumors. It's propaganda. No official letter has been received forbidding them from studying, working, driving, or taking part in social activities.
Rumors, he says, but locals in Herat tell a different story. Taliban's local officials have issued diktats to driving schools and traffic authorities. The order is simple. Do not train women drivers. Do not issue licenses to them. Unlike their last stint in power, the Taliban are moving slowly, but their vision remains regressive. Women drivers say they are stopped at checkpoints.
I have not seen any official letter banning women from driving, but unfortunately licenses are not being issued to women. And at checkpoints, some Talibs might stop us because of their personal opinions.
2.0 or not, the Taliban's ideology remains unchanged. What is different is their modus operandi. No outright bans, no nationwide diktats. Instead, it's a slow march to disenfranchisement for Afghan women. South Asia Bureau, WION, World is One.
Nepal has had a complicated relationship with cannabis. Decades back, it was the cannabis capital of the world. Westerners flocked to Kathmandu in search of a good high. Then came America's war on drugs. Pretty soon, cannabis was banned in Nepal. Today, faced with dwindling foreign exchange, Nepal is revisiting the cannabis debate.
The thick smoke hangs in the air. So does the pungent smell, the unmistakable hint of marijuana. On paper, it is banned here in Nepal, but as you can see, not everyone follows it. These holy men are in a mood today, crushing the marijuana, filling the pipes, and then. Might seem scandalous to you, but marijuana has always been part of Nepalese culture. Ever heard about the Himalayan gold? Well, this is where it comes from.
Cannabis was used traditionally in Nepal. It is not a drug that is extremely damaging to the body. Our forefathers have been using it and our religious texts also endorse it.
In the 1960s, Westerners flocked to Kathmandu for one thing, a good high. You could walk into a licensed store and buy marijuana. No taboo, no safety issues. But then the West quit smoking weed. Marijuana was declared a dangerous drug. The Himalayan gold was banned. Decades later, there has been a rethink.
It is not justifiable that a poor country like ours has to treat cannabis as a drug. Our people are being punished and killed, and our corruption increases because of smuggling. As we follow decisions of developed countries that are now doing as they please, we cannot continue this inequality.
Like we showed you from the start, the ban is not exactly foolproof. In the wild, you do see the occasional marijuana plant. In the shady black alleys, you do see people lighting up a joint. But beware. If the police see you, you are in trouble. 1 month in jail for possession. 10 years if you're a dealer.
So it's important in that aspect we feel that medicinal use has to be legalized as soon as possible. Even today, so many patients are using it, but they are forced to do it illegally. They can get caught anytime.
Rajiv Kafle is a cannabis crusader. For him, it's a personal battle. Kafle has been diagnosed with HIV. On bad days, the marijuana helps with the pain. Fortunately for him, the government is listening. In 2020, the parliament was close to legalizing marijuana. But Nepal's fractious politics intervened. Now a new government is in power. They too seem eager to legalize marijuana. After all, there is good money involved.
There is a market and value for this in the international market. There is an economic aspect to it. The living standards of Nepali farmers and citizens can be raised trading this herb that grows on our hills, naturally grows. The growth will increase if we can manage it and farm scientifically.
In the West, attitudes towards marijuana has changed. Some nations have legalized it, including several states in America. There, you do get wannabe strains of the Himalayan gold. But this here is the real thing. If legalized, Nepal could kickstart cannabis tourism, a rerun of the 1960s. South Asia Bureau, WION, World is One.
Bangladesh has one of the lowest alcohol consumption levels in Asia. To drink in Bangladesh, you need a special permit. If you are a Muslim, you also need a medical prescription. While that may not change, the liquor laws are being updated. Dhaka's new law permits retailers to import 40% of their stock. Why is Bangladesh changing its liquor laws after 100 years? What does it mean for a nation of teetotalers?
If you're out for a drink in Dhaka, well, you're in the wrong place. This is a country of teetotalers. 90% of the people here are Muslims. Their religion does not permit them to drink alcohol. To drink in Bangladesh, you need a permit. If you are a Muslim, you need a doctor's prescription. The result? Nobody bothered to update the liquor laws. In February, that changed. Bangladesh tweaked their liquor laws for the first time in 100 years. Question is, will this change drinking patterns in Bangladesh? Per capita consumption is about 0.02 litres annually. In India, it is 5.6 litres. In China, it is 6.04 litres. Even in Pakistan, it's 0.31 litres. The new laws may not change that, because the idea isn't to get more people to drink, it's to regulate the sector. The underground liquor trade is worth around $190 million. Legalize that, and Dhaka will earn taxes. According to the new rules, retailers can import 40% of the stock. The rest must be bought from local producers, of which there are 2. Both of them are expecting a massive boom in revenue. The biggest distiller is Karu & Co. In 2016 to 2017, their profits were $6.56 million. By 2020 to 2021, it rose to $12.06 million. Even with the new laws, Bangladesh is not embracing alcohol. They are harnessing it. South Asia Bureau, WION, World is One.
A social enterprise in Karachi is helping people without hands and arms attain basic mobility through low-cost robotics. The plastic-printed arm developed by Bionics, Pakistan sells for a fraction of the cost of those available in other countries. And it uses a business model which also helps the poorest.
This is 17-year-old Rehman. She was born without the lower half of her left arm. Though there are prosthetics that are available, their unreasonably high costs have rendered them inaccessible to many like Rehman. But things seem to be changing. Rehman is now getting the assistance of a robotic arm. One that has the potential to significantly alter Rehman's life for the better. Also, not to forget that it is a fraction of the price she would have to pay for other regular prosthetics.
So, मेरी rehabilitation जो है वो माशाल्लाह से बहुत अच्छी चल रही है. जब मैं यहाँ पर आती हूँ, जब भी मेरे यहाँ visit होता है.
My rehabilitation is coming along very well. Ever since I got my prosthetic and have been visiting here for rehabilitation, I feel that I can use it better and more effectively. I suppose it will just take a lot of practice. It's like being born again, trying to learn something new. But it's been very nice here. They helped me adjust to the new arm and put me through different exercises.
Improve कर सकते हैं तो जब मैं यहाँ पर आती हूँ मुझे बहुत feel होता है.
Bionics Pakistan is a Karachi-based social enterprise that aims to provide robotic prosthetics for the specially abled. Equipped with sensors that can detect electronic brain impulses, this bionic arm is sensitive to the movements of the recipients. The trick is to have it properly connected, following which there is a brief rehabilitation session that can help one to understand how to use the prosthetics effectively. The bionic prosthetic costs around $1,900 as opposed to US or European prosthetics that cost over $20,000. The low cost of the prosthetic limbs are attributed to the locally sourced raw materials.
Definitely these kind of bionic arms do exist in the West, but the cost is very high and they are not suitable for this kind of environment. So what we do is, we make these bionic arm in a very less cost, and people who are unable to afford this cost, we have the list of sponsors who pay for this prosthetic.
As per the United Nations, 1 in 6 people in the Asia-Pacific region are specially abled, and this new bionic prosthetic might just prove to be a game changer. South Asia Bureau, WION, World is One.
That's all we have for you on this episode of South Asia Diary. We'll be back next week with a brand new lineup of stories. Until then, stay safe. I am Mariam Wardak, and you are watching WION World is One.